I'm Sarek.
And I
That's it.
am Zero Counts. Welcome
We
in.
are admins for the for Board Booster. That's Board Boosters. That's why we're talking to you right now. For folks who might be joining us for the first time, Board Boosters is a speedrunning club, very friendly. It speedruns games with a small community or very few runs on speedrun.com to show those games some love and to get some attention put on them. Last month, we boosted Oregon Trail Director's Cut, a point and clickish sort of adventure game modeled after the famous Oregon Trail game of the 1980s. Like Bug Doctor said, we're going to be talking about that and then choosing our game for December. Bug, do you want to talk about the maybe the history of Oregon Trail a little bit before we continue on, so folks have a
Boy,
bit of
howdy.
background?
Boy, howdy do I. I wrote a little blurb today. Ahem. Originally released in 2010, Oregon Trail is a zombified homage to the classroom classic Oregon Trail. In the game, you try to make your way across the irradiated and zombie-infested United States, which is now even more irradiated and zombie-infested than normal. Driving your station wagon across the country with 4 other party members, at first, is never as simple as it seems, with your car falling apart constantly, bandits and undead elk trying to tear you up, and of course, undead encounters. You need to manage your resources well in order to get to safe haven smoothly, so scavenge for that 28% chance grocery bag drop and don't dick around with your mufflers. The original version of this game has a set course that you're required to complete in order to get to safe haven. Interestingly, a Kickstarter redesign of the game called Oregon Trail Director's Cut, which a lot of us played, was released in 2012. This version provides players with a choice of what cities they visit along the way, rather than setting them along a specific path through, I assume, all of them, giving potential for routing optimization and decisions between riskier and safer travel paths. This is generally the version that people speedrun now, though we did have some board boosters tackle the no DLC category for some reason. But wait, there's more! Let's not forget Clement's Quest. A janky physics-based prequel minigame where you drive your station wagon to safe haven and back again by rolling up 80-degree inclines, executing sick-ass flips, and getting pelted by rare and always exciting meteor zombies.
Yes, you may have seen some of those in the clips.
Yeah,
already.
What
Yeah.
causes that? I'd love to know what causes them to
Oh,
just
it's so fun. It's always in that one spot
fucking
too,
rock
for
in
sure.
the air. So weird.
Yeah. So this was the third board boost that we've done so far. First one, Dream World Pogi. We all love Pogi. Shout outs to Pogi.
Praise him.
Defenders of Dynatron City was the second one that we did. And this, the third one, Oregon Trail. We did things a little bit differently this time around, though. There was a lot of really early interest in the game. Like I remember, like, for the last two boosts, like, everybody waited until the first. But for this one, as soon as it was picked, I think it was like the next day, a couple people just like snagged it up and were like, I'm gonna start running this. And there was just a whole bunch of information that was gathered, so much in fact that, like, we ended up doing our first, like, pre-board booster, like, strategy stream, where we actually, like, Zarek set it up and talked with Flatalis and Aces about, like, everything that they had found before the month had even really started. And it was so much information. There was, like, I mean, right now, if you go to speedrun.com and you pull up like the resources, there is a spreadsheet in there that is just chock full of information. Everything you need to know about the speedrun, you will find in there. Pretty much any question you have, except for how did the meteor zombies happen? That's a mystery that we'll never solve.
Yeah, I do. I mean, as like at the admin level, like looking at the group that we have here going, I do want to say that it was really cool that we were able to have an early stream where we talked about strategies right at the gate. We also had our very first stream where we were racing the game on the Board Boosters channel, and so I think that folks who have been around for previous boosts if they want to, if they think, hey, you know, like I wonder what board boosters could do more of or could become, like this is the kind of stuff that we were very happy, like as this group of 3 people, and I'm sure there's other folks who also want to do this kind of thing, to support and to help make happen. And it's just like there has to, you know, it just has to be people doing it and has to be the will to make it happen. And it's nice to see that folks were wanted to come out for that kind of stuff and do that kind of stuff as part of the boost as well. If you ever have ideas for that kind of thing for future boosts or other types of events, other types of streams, and you know, just reach out to us, let us know, and we'll try to make it happen. Or you know, as long as it fits in with what the group's doing, like we can support it. So if you see that kind of thing, it happens because people wanted to make it happen, and let us know if you want to do something like that in the future.
Yeah, we also did races this time around too. We did our first board boosters race of Oregon Trail. It was like, honestly, like when we set it up, I think it was Junkyard Dave who came in and to the race channel and sort of as a joke was like, hey, who wants to race this game? Because like you think of this game and like it's like things are just like totally random, right? Like you don't know like what's gonna happen when you're clicking along and all of a sudden somebody steals your muffler, and you don't like, it doesn't on its surface it doesn't seem like a race friendly game, but in a way that kind of makes it like fun. And also like the strategies for like, as we did the first race, we were quickly realizing there's some strategies we should probably be implementing for races on this, because there's ways that you can sort of avoid instant deaths or like closer to deaths. Like there were strategies that we were developing during the race that we didn't think of before. It was really, really kind of cool. We did like 3 of them, I think, in total, and it was really entertaining. And that video is saved on the VOD, so if anybody wants to go back and check that out, feel free.
One last thing I will say, just from like an admin perspective, before we move on and get some guests in here as well, is the like when we did the race thing, when we had our race stream, we hadn't done one before, and now we've worked out some of the kinks on like how to set that up. So the more we do special events, races, that kind of stuff, the better, the more resources we're going to have available for folks. And now the people who are racing can also take those skills and help other people race other games. And that's the kind of thing we want to support too. So. And
we're always looking for people who are interested in helping out with that kind of thing. Junkyard Dave graciously hosted that and set it up and contacted everybody, and like so thank you to Junkyard Dave for that. But if anybody else has ideas of things they want to do, you know, hit us up in the Discord, and we're always open to your ideas.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get this channel being more used in general. I know it's pretty barren aside from us doing these things every couple of months. So yeah, even if you know, even in the off months, if there's like something that people want to like maybe people want to do like a Pogi race blitz or something like that.
Yeah.
For whatever fucking reason, then yeah, but like by all means, just approach us, because yeah, the more board boosters content we have, the better. And we just need yeah, as long as we have some interest and some people with some ideas, we're willing to entertain those.
Absolutely. Why don't we invite our guests in to help us talk more about the game and go over some of the other stuff here. Today with us, we are going to have Latalis Rose, David TKI, and Aces 10. So, folks, if you want to jump in on the call now, that would be great.
Fucking dream team.
Look at that. Everybody's right on time.
It's us.
Yay!
Welcome in.
Did not misclick and accidentally join early.
No, certainly not.
So, do we want to do
that didn't happen
for folks who do not know our guests or haven't seen their faces? Do we want to each one of you want to do a quick introduction? Aces, you want to go first?
Hello, I am Aces 10, and not really a speedrunner before this. I had done a task sort of in conjunction with Zero for Animaniacs on the Genesis, and I've started another one since then, but nothing else besides that. So this was a lot of new ground to cover.
All right.
What's the other task?
I'm sorry?
What's the other task?
The new task is called Attack of the Petsky Robots. It's actually a new retro game.
Never heard of it before. I'll have to look it up. Maybe it's a Board Boosters contender.
It might be. It might be.
Yes.
Need to finish it first. No.
David, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm David TKI, just kind of a variety speedrunner, just doing whatever I want, but I do gravitate a lot toward retro style platformers or point and click adventure games, so I do have my niche.
All right, Latalis, you're up.
All right, that's me. Hello, I am Latalis. I'm a variety streamer. I'm fairly new to speedrunning in general. I've maybe been at it for about a year now. Really enjoyed trying to optimize this game.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
So I do want to just jump out the gate here and ask the question that we're all wondering, which is, David, do you shop for art at the same place that hotels shop for art?
Wow.
Damn.
So
on
I'm
the
gonna
list.
have to dodge that question because my wife buys most of this stuff, so I have no idea.
Oh, by the way, this is Zarek.
Yes.
We don't know him. We don't know who's this guy.
Just try to tolerate him as much as you can.
Oh, was that all the questions we had for our guest?
No, we do have other questions. If you want questions that are related to like video games, we could. Do
Oh,
some
I
of those
guess.
too.
I guess.
Yeah, that'd be probably
Oh,
good.
there's a game. Right.
Right.
Games. What are those?
Yeah. So our first question, I guess, just to throw this out there, and we can, you know, if there's not too much to say about these, we can move past them as for sure. But when it comes to Oregon Trail, what do you think of both the game casually and as a speed game? You know, like none of us, you know, for many of us, we had never heard about the game until it was a Board Boosters boost. So, would you recommend it casually? Would you recommend it as a speed game? What do you take away from it in that way?
Who wants to go first?
For it.
All right. So casually, I think the game is a lot of fun. It's got a lot of that Oregon Trail charm to it, and it's just kind of zombified. So I think anyone going into the game being like, maybe you've played Oregon Trail, maybe you haven't, maybe you've just heard of that kind of game, it's a fun game. As a speed game, it's frustrating as hell. It's really annoying.
Yes. 100% agree on that.
Yeah, I do kind of want to jump in on that Oregon Trail comparison a little bit because Oregon Trail is really frustrating and it just kind of like, especially as a speedrun, Oregon Trail is just I've had a marathon run that I thought would go 5 minutes, go 20 because I kept dying.
God.
So Oregon Trail, although it borrows from Oregon Trail a lot, it's a lot fairer.
Yes. Certainly you don't get hit out of the blue with random stuff killing you for no reason. Except for in like very, very, very rare circumstances.
Very rare.
You do get hit out of the blue with falling zombies.
It's true.
It's true.
Yep.
Clement's Quest.
Yeah, we'll
Meteor
wrap,
zombies.
we'll wrap back around to Clement's Quest for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to get a sense from so both Latalis and David had like top times and actually tied each other, which is something we should mention. They tied the Clement's Quest world record. But for you two folks, like what about this game made you want to be get to that point with it, like be faster than everybody else?
I think my competitive streak kind of got the better of me. Like, I saw Clement's Quest, I'm just like, I can go fast at this, right? And it was very frustrating to eventually then beat Danzel's time, and David beat me like within 3 hours or so.
Yeah.
And so I was very determined to get it back, but I only managed to tie it. So
That's certainly the curse of the podium.
Well, it's one of the good things about Clement's Quest, right? It's like pretty replayable. Like, it's quick.
Mhm.
What's the record? Like 11 minutes? Something like that?
11:32. I think I had a high 11:32. I think David had
Yeah.
a low 11:32.
So it's like
Yeah.
one of those quick. It's not quite on the Pogi level where you can just reset it and just get addicted to it, but it's like it's close, and you know for a fact that, if the zombies just don't act as obstacles as much, which I think it was found that you can completely get rid of them on the way back, right?
I think David found that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can just it's pretty sweet. You just got to tolerate half of the zombies basically, and then way back might go smooth, and then it's like that's a huge like incentive to be like, okay, well maybe I can push this a little bit. So, kind of one of the good things about Clement's Quest.
Right.
Yeah. One of the good things was that the obstacles, aside from the zombies, were always the same. Whereas in any percent, you'd be running and you'd be like, okay, am I going to get a V6 or not? Am I going to get a tool chest or not?
Yeah.
So.
I do want to circle back. We'll let Aces answer the question originally. Aces, how do you feel about the speed run? The any percent speed run as a speed run?
Yeah, so I was aware of the game before it was picked, but I'd never played it or anything. Kind of maybe thought to at times, try it out. I don't know that I have enough experience to talk about how it felt as a speed run versus casual. Casually, it was definitely not a game I would have played. I probably would have played like once or twice and put it down. The speed run, I genuinely wasn't sure I would beat Denzel's original time that was set before we started boosting. And when I did, it just sort of was. That was all I needed. That was satisfaction enough. So
it's a great feeling, when every one of the games that we've done so far, we've managed to just as a community come up with all these new strategies and ways to approach these games and just blow the old times out of the water. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
some
of these runs are
so
people
good.
were running these games for a year, but over a year before we ever touched them, and some of these things weren't figured out.
It's just got to get some different eyes and brains on a game, right? And
Yeah.
you never know what'll happen. So,
We did have a comment in the chat. Where is Danzel? Danzel, of course, was the original world record holder for the any percent category, and is again the world record holder, having joined Board Boosters for this boost and keeping his record at the end of the month, which is really cool. Both those things made me very happy. The Danzel was into it, and then became a part of the group, used our strategies, and still beat our asses. But Danzel was invited and was not able to make it. So it's not like we didn't invite the guy. I just want to make that clear. One of the things we have a question here. We have asked before for folks who've come on for these shows to ask them about how they might have applied their previous speedrunning experience and where that might have come in. David, definitely I want you to let us know where did your experience with other speedruns apply or not apply with this game. But the reverse of this I also want to know, because with Talus and Aces, you two folks don't have a lot of speedruns on SRC or under your belt perhaps, and that is critical information for us to know, is what got you into this one and why you were why you wanted to be a part of this, because we will need to bottle that and use it as much as we can to get more people involved with this, right? Maybe David, you could go first, and the other two can think about it a little bit.
This is multi questions there.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and get started. But basically, the biggest comparison point I have is the point-and-click adventure games. This game was kind of called out as being kind of like that, and I have run quite a few of Sierra's titles.
Just a couple.
So, just a few. One of the things that comes up in some of those titles, there's a fair amount of randomness that you sometimes have to learn to roll with the punches. And so that's some previous experience that I have that helped there. But the other potentially crucial bit is knowing when to pre-position the mouse into certain places, finding visual cues to line everything up, and then just clicking, knowing when to stop. But apart from that, it was largely just learning the game's engine, learning where the bottlenecks are and what resources you have a lot of and what you don't have a lot of, and where you can stretch everything. But yeah, is that a nice answer?
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And just to kind of add to that, that was one of the cool things about this run, how you like get to pick your resources, so you can kind of you pick your bottleneck in a way at the start.
Right.
And I feel like that got pretty well optimized with a lot of people trying different combinations, that's like right off the bat. There's immediately like a lot of variability in how you tackle a run, but yeah, that was cool to see that get kind of hammered out and like solved. I would say it's mostly solved, but
but like even mid-run, there's some adjustment to be made. It like say if you manage to scavenge a lot of scraps or a few scraps, did you keep most of your med kits or did you lose most of them? Where do you make up the differences?
Yeah,
Certainly.
Point. I mean, I think that just while we're on the topic of like your resources, the mufflers, the batteries, all of that kind of thing, it is worth saying about this game before we get too far off that topic that, you know, there's a lot of zombie, post-apocalyptic horror games and other types of games in a similar vein. And, you know, after playing Oregon Trail, you're never going to play Last of Us again without thinking like, you know, Joel doesn't seem to really be caring about all his mufflers, right? Like he's like, why is he not focused on the mufflers, right? Yeah. But so Aces and Latalis, did you have a second to think about, you know, what as a relatively new speedrunner brought you to this and what you might say to other new speedrunners or what we could say to them to also get them involved in future boosts?
For me, I think
go
Aces
ahead,
should
Latalis.
go first because I'm kind of a middle ground where I have experience, but not quite as much. So
Right.
I would say the reason I hopped in on this one specifically was because it was PC. So the barrier to entry just for streaming it and for playing it was very low. I guess I may be a little bit of a purist too. So like emulating for consoles I would want to probably set up even just a SNES Classic or something if I were going to do a console run. What was your other question? Sorry. How were we?
Yeah, I mean, like the things you've said so far, I'm literally typing them down so that we can make a note and have a conversation for like this is good stuff for the review committee, for example, that we have.
I think the different platforms is great. No, that's not a background vein. I can throw a can if you want.
Please refrain from fighting with chat during your response.
Yeah.
Unless it's vain. No, you can do
Yeah.
that.
I'm very much a brute forcer. So if Latalis had not done a lot of the work that she had done, I definitely we worked hand in hand in a certain way of like having the data, creating the data, and then using the data in the very beginning before anybody else was really running it. And that was huge. That was huge to have. If that hadn't been laid out as a groundwork, I think it would have been a much higher headwind to get the new time. So that really can't be overstated, having that. And I don't know how you guys do other runs because you're basically all doing it yourselves in your heads without having that amount of foundation. So that was pretty pivotal.
I just
to help.
I sort of want to just kind of slip in here after with that and talking about just the one of the big reasons for board boosters is because you're right, like going into a run, especially a run like this that has like almost no resources at all, can be really tough. So one of the things I was doing, like when I was looking at like the review of all the runs that are submitted, is like which ones of these would somebody go into the run, look at the resources, see nothing, and be like, well, I want to do this, but there's nothing here, you know, and being like just one runner trying to pick that up is crazy. Like for Animaniacs, for example, when I first started running Animaniacs, there was no resources for that, and most of the stuff that was discovered by chat. I mean, like Bug and Aces, like YouTube both suggested things that like ended up becoming things that we do in the run now, and it's getting a community behind it and then attaching the community to the run and just like tearing it apart and figuring it out. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, certainly. And right back at you, Aces. Like, you jumped into the run quite early, and there were things that you were mentioning, and I'm just like, what would help a spreadsheet? I think I said that in your chat a number of times. And just your enthusiasm for the game and a lot of early adopters of the game, their enthusiasm really kind of made me doing the work worthwhile. Like, I don't think I would have dedicated nearly as much time to optimization early if we didn't have that early enthusiasm from people running the game. So that certainly helped. But as per Zarek's question about what I got from this run from my previous experiences and how I kind of approached it, the runs that I have done are fairly few and far between, but one of the games that I had been speedrunning prior is Octopath Traveler, which uses a lot of statistics in terms of enemy encounters, drop rates, that kind of thing. And so I knew that a game as variable as Oregon Trail kind of needed that statistical information before it could be made consistent. So that's kind of my interest in it. It was just like 28% groceries, let's go. So there's that kind of informed my approach a bit.
Attach a
As for actually doing runs.
Attach a spreadsheet to any speed run, and Talis will come running.
If there's one thing with Talis loves, it's spreadsheets.
Something I gotta say is I'm incredibly thankful for the work that you all put in, because I was incredibly like put off by like even starting the run, because I was just like, there's so much like stuff, so many variables, and having that baseline of like, okay, like these are like the best options for getting through the speed run. Like that helped me get started. I was like, and I don't mind like routing stuff, or like I haven't actually done much routing, but like with something like this, where there's so much stuff, there's so many different like power-ups you can get that like help you in different ways and things like that. Like knowing the speed of the V6 on like all the like these 3 different speed settings you've got, where to set your food. I was just like, my head was like fucking spinning at the start of this. Like, yeah. I was like, what do you even pick? And so having you put that work in made it approachable, like way more approachable, not just for me, but like for others within the group.
Absolutely.
And yeah, has that stuff been posted on speedrun.com and everything?
I did post it, yeah.
Yep,
I posted it under the guides as a link to the OneDrive.
Yes,
good.
It has.
Because that's like anyone who wants to approach, like it's just going to help people so much in the future if they want to tackle this game, and that's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's a great point. I think that we do want to watch the world record run, so I think that we should move on to that pretty quick so that we don't get too far behind in our time.
Yep, sounds good.
But I do want to mention that, like we mentioned it a couple times, Latalis did put together this incredible spreadsheet and spent a lot of time doing it. But even before that, and we haven't mentioned this at all because I think a lot of us have forgotten that we had to do this, but at the beginning of the month, we all had to do this horrible like long run of the endless version of the game to unlock the UFO, right? So for folks who might not remember, who didn't play the game in chat, you have to pick a vehicle in the game to use for your run. You have to unlock the vehicle that you use in the speed run, and to do that you had to do this really long playthrough that was entirely different from the rest of the speed run, and we only realized at the very end you could edit the game file to take that part out. But, for the most of us, we actually had to do this fucking thing, and
it was a freaking 10-hour sequence of steps.
Exactly. But before the month had started, Aces had already made videos about how to do it and like what were best practices on doing that, right? So like all these folks were like really early on with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, until right near the end where David realized you could just edit the code and and then get all the
friggin' David just sneezing on the code.
Thank you, by the way, because that's what I did.
Invalidated.
Oh.
Get 0 counts off the board.
Cheater.
All right, do we want to watch this record run?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So all right.
Yeah,
so
I haven't seen it before.
We're gonna pull up Danzel's world record for the any percent category. There are 2 other categories that we did run during board boosters, the no DLC, which basically forces you to use the slowest vehicle, and the run is almost twice as long as the normal as the any percent with DLC, and then the Clemens quest.
Torture percent.
And then
we also so we created the Clemens Quest category. It wasn't on SRC before board boosters.
Right.
We found this game that was in the menu, and we're like, let's make it a category.
Yeah. What?
And it is worth saying that both Danzel and David did put runs together for the hardest difficulty
That's right.
version.
I totally forgot.
Danzel, who, if anyone has met him during the course of this, is trying to get him to do anything is kind of like hurting a cat. But he did a run and then didn't post it on SRC for some fucking reason. I don't know. But
we love him. He's good.
Yeah, he's great. But for some reason he didn't post it. So he does have a run. It's just not up there.
All right, I'm going to pull up the world record, and we all should be able to commentate on it. Let me know in chat if you don't hear anything of something. If something doesn't seem right, let us know. But here we go. I got to share my screen.
Shut up, Vane.
Get your popcorn.
Let's see. Shoot, I can't see this.
Why do you have so many porn windows open?
Yeah. I can't.
Zero Camps is staring at a monitor that is like 10
across
12
the
Yeah.
Okay. And then, all right, here we go. Y'all pop into that video, and I'll switch it over. All right. Here we go.
Men who wear many hats.
I gotta say that watching this happen again is giving me like flashbacks to how many times I had to reset this run.
Yeah.
Just like this, like men who may wear many hats thing. It's so frustrating to come back to this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The resets were not.
Oh god.
Not a long
Clemens
time,
Quest
but
could
long enough to
reset
be
in
annoying.
the game, which was so nice.
It sucked for me because I was playing on console, so entering the fucking names every time, I was just like, it was so slow.
Yep.
I was like, God, just gag me.
So there's a lot of stuff happening in the run here right at the outset. You have to choose all of your resources, which all of us did many times. Throughout the month, the like prevailing wisdom about what resources you picked changed so often that sometimes I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna do the one I know, because it's like I know it's gonna be different tomorrow and then it's gonna be different the next day. I'm not gonna learn every step of like where we like how many tires we take or whatever the hell, right?
Right.
And then we also at the beginning of the month, we were killing off our party members right at the beginning, and then we discovered that someone discovered, it might have been Latalis, I'm not sure. One of you were probably in this call, discovered that the having the party members alive meant that you didn't take any damage as the main character for some reason, and so we essentially just kept starving 4 people to death every single run, which was like
Very
talking about
humanely.
optimization. Yeah.
And like
Speaking of optimization, V6 engine in Indianapolis is really good.
Yeah, that's real good.
Yeah, and like letting your party starve also is like way safer too, because like it basically eliminated like the worry of death like for the first 3 minutes of the run essentially. So yeah, here we have the first scripted fight, which most of the time it's best to just take the vehicle destruction, let your vehicle get destroyed, and use the excess scrap that you have and hopefully retained from the beginning of the run to just fix it enough to get yourself to Chicago, which is the next stop.
Yeah,
that repair made my heart stop.
Yeah,
In the first 2 misses.
Yeah.
Oof.
So what he's hoping for here is he's hoping to get all of his party members to die before getting to Chicago, so then you can immediately just go hunting for food right away.
Yeah.
It looks like one of them hung
Interesting
on.
that Chicago was the goal. Usually I want my party to die around the old shack because the sun comes up right about then, and then you can get a low zombie activity scavenge off.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I was like hoping for it by like the church, I think. But
yeah. I didn't go the church route. I didn't. Yeah. That's one of the things with the science that I couldn't actually conclusively prove, that radiation does more damage to the vehicle
Right.
All of my data supports it, but by not enough to make me say conclusively.
Right.
It's so frustrating.
But he's scavenging between towns. Isn't there some data about that?
No, actually, the distance modifier is the only thing that matters, which is your total miles traveled.
Oh, hang on.
Once you travel a specific distance, it'll start reducing your expected yields.
So hang on, I just saw 2 grocery sacks appear on one screen. That's like there's not a huge chance of that happening, is there?
You're not going to believe this, but did you
Hit
know?
me. Hit me with it. What?
Did you know that the grocery sack actually has the highest chance of spawning during a scavenge at a whopping 28% chance?
Oh wow.
Unbelievable.
I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that though. That's that makes that a lot more sense now.
Yeah, it's a very quirky statistic.
Coming back to the run, we did mention a couple times that the game was very influenced and sort of based off of the old 1980s game Oregon Trail, in which you are in a wagon helping colonize the western United States. And in that game, after at certain points, you have to ford a river where you bring your wagon across a shallow part of a river. And in this game, in Oregon Trail, you have to ford a bunch of zombies by driving across a horde of zombies, right? So there's some analogous elements in this game to that old game as well.
Correct. 23 repair in Wichita? Come on, dude. Usually it's like 34.
So something that is different in the any percent with the DLC run is that they have these radiation zones that you can go through. Does anybody have any more information about them? Because I don't think they ever really became an issue in the run, and we spend a lot of time in those radiation zones. Do you take more damage in the radiation zones? Do you is there a risk of taking more damage, or does anybody know any more about that?
I believe I didn't do too much science on this. All I cared about was the card damage, which again I couldn't prove conclusively. But I believe as your radiation sickness ticks up, which is the darker HP bar ticking up, the higher that gets, the more damage your character will take each hourly tick, up to a certain point. Once you get radiation sickness, I believe it starts actually hurting you.
Yeah, because it has that little bar of how much radiation you're taking, but I don't know if that has if it fills all the way up, do you die? I don't even know, because it never happened in the run, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I've never had it fill up all the way. Once it gets to half, you get radiation sickness and start taking some damage.
Okay.
I imagine if it fills all the way, you either die or take double damage or something.
Sure.
Don't know. Like you said, we usually wouldn't stick around.
I think I had it happen when I was unlocking UFO. The meter filled up, but I don't remember. Obviously, nothing severe happened, or I would have remembered.
Right.
But I could be wrong.
You pretty much just need to start managing it. Once it gets full, you need to be very aware of it.
So Bokanon in chat says you can get severe or acute radiation sickness, and it doesn't seem to instantly kill you, just more damage.
Strip club.
Yeah. Just hit up the strip club.
Zombies.
One of the things that Danzel's doing in the run here is clicking back to the stats tab. You can see both fuel and the food, and then some other stats in there as well. One thing that I mentioned to this group before we came live for the stream today, 1,000 ounces of food, which is you can get up to 1,000 ounces sometimes. Certainly, 200, 300 ounces of food is not unheard of. I had a hard time conceptualizing how much food that actually was, because we don't use ounces in Canada in that way, a lot. And so we were talking about how much that was, but also 30 cans of fuel. A fuel can is big, right? The UFO has got to be the size of a moving truck to have 30 cans of fuel in it, right? And so I found the proportions of things in this game a bit funny, just in those terms a little bit.
Right.
It is quite amusing to think about how much stuff you can fit into these vehicles. While I was doing some of my research on drop tables, the 28% grocery sack, for example, I did a lot of scavenging, and my food got up to 10,000 or so, quintuple digits. I'm just like, that's too much food.
Yeah.
Too much food.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever go into endless mode and you decide for some reason that you want to collect all the skulls in endless mode, there's a lot of very silly things there. Have way too much money on hand, or have too much food on hand, or go like 1,000 miles without stopping to rest.
Or like letting a player get incapacitated and then reviving them and then going to a different save file and reviving a character, but it revives the character that you revived in the other save file.
There were a few glitches like this that we couldn't figure out why they were happening.
A little bit broken.
So,
A little
so
bit.
I want to draw attention. Uchi brought up a good point in chat that it was like 2 stops ago that that Danzel actually did sold off a lot of medkits. Like at this point in the run, like you really have to monitor, like you're going to be running out of money and things are going to be getting more expensive as well. So you end up having to like really pay attention to, and right now during the run, selling off and checking fuel and seeing how much fuel can be sold and still make it to safe haven with what you have, hoping that you don't lose any of that little excess fuel that you have to get to safe haven. Like this is the part of the run that like was really kind of exciting and like scary, because like you're really playing with
final stretch.
You're really playing with those numbers at the end, and that's where like I think a lot of the time comes from, where like you have to make these quick decisions and like, oh, do I need to sell fuel? Okay, repair is $59. I have $22. Fuel sells for this much. Medkits sell for this much, but I need at least one medkit in case I
about
take
to
damage.
run out of food.
Like, yeah, like you're really just pushing the limits.
It doesn't matter what condition you limp into safe haven with, as long as you limp into safe haven.
Right.
Yeah.
And those were the situations where you felt like you were actually
crawl.
executing.
Yes, or crawl through, yeah, as we will see.
Legs, we don't need those.
So we did have a message in chat from MWDA Shadow, or Muta Shadow, however people say buddy's handle here. I always say
Shadow.
So Shadow was actually the one who suggested this game to board boosters, and was nice enough near the end of the month to throw in a run, which I thought was really great.
Nice enough.
Now, Shadow does mention the music in the game, and I do want to say, like, I've listened to it enough now that I never ever want to hear this music again. But the music in the game's pretty good, right? Like,
yeah, it's not bad.
I do really enjoy
for a game
it.
like this. It's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very atmospheric. Like I could
Alpha
do work
Buglets.
to it.
Buglets!
Yeah, so at the very end of the run, we take the damage intentionally to finish. This is not available in the no DLC version. You have to play out the final sequence where you gather gas cans and get hoarded by like just 60 zombies at a time. Very stressful.
So there's actually, we discovered a strategy because of Bug. That's why we call it the Bug Doctor, Bug Blitz, right? Because Bug was playing on the Switch and just tapping something and crawling really fast in this crawl section, when otherwise it goes really slow on PC. And we had to figure out why that was.
Scuttling like a bug.
We figured out that you could use a keyboard and like a gamepad to go really fast at the end. They were much faster than we had been going, which was a huge time save. Actually, it could be like a few seconds at the end of the run.
It's pretty significant.
Cutscene takes a long time otherwise.
Denzel feels kind of purist about that, and he will not use a controller for that. So he was doing the mash on keyboard only, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, that wasn't as fast as true Bug Blitz, but it was certainly faster than I could do without doing Bug Blitz. So,
GG to Denzel for that. That's a good run.
Yeah, GG.
GG, Denzel, even though you're not here, good job.
All right.
Yeah, that last like stretch of the game always stressed me out. Not necessarily just because of the resources dwindling, but also because the Switch version had a nasty tendency to crash right on the last fucking tick before you got to safe haven. So I'd be like, is it just going to crash on me? Is this run fucked? But anyway, so that was like...
You know, it's nice that we have the variety, and I'm glad you did do your run on Switch, Bug Doctor, but I'm also glad it wasn't me that had to do it.
Yeah. I suffer so that you may live.
Vane,
Truly live.
Vane says so you could potentially take the world record by mashing controller plus keyboard. I mean, if you got the exact same run as Danzel and made it there and then did Bug Blitz, you'd probably win out by a second or two.
Yeah, if you got a V6 engine in Indianapolis and had $21 repairs in Wichita and Albuquerque, maybe you two could do it.
Yeah, if the stars need to align. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So there, before we go on to like spinning the wheel and all these kind of things, we do want to take a moment to thank the folks who participated in this board boost. So I just want to go through the folks who participated this month. And we may continue to do this again in future months. But big shout outs to Danzel Glovington, David TKI, who's here, Bokonan Lives, Zero Counts, Latalis, myself, Bug Doctor, Uchi, Aces 10, Zephyr, Beat Zero, Johnny Go, Shadow, Fizzy Flask, Miss Truffles, She's Chardcore, Agent Wyvern, and COVID Kid, all for participating in the boost. Thank you so much.
18 people. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we're always going to try and continue to find ways to like big up our people, the people who participate in board boosters generally. So if you have any ideas about that, or if there's someone who's doing something for the boost and you wanted them recognized, let us know. We're here for it. We do want to congratulate Danzel Glovington, Latalis Rose, and David TKI all for getting world records during this boost, because that's huge. All those records were, I mean, obviously they're better than the times that existed before, but they put a ton of time into all of that. I'm going to check in here. Zero and Bug, should I continue on with the next little part here?
Keep on going.
Point?
Keep
Okay, sounds good. So the admin team has been talking a little bit, and we also, like I said, we want to find other ways to recognize folks who are doing like things for board boosters or helping the group grow or helping the group do things. And we wanted to recognize a few folks who added a lot to the beyond just getting world record times. So we would like to announce the admin's pick for most valuable player for the Oregon Trail board boost. We did discuss a few names. We had some serious discussions about who would be MVP for this month, and the folks who contributed overall to the success of this month.
I suggested me.
Yeah,
understandable.
Me.
Well deserved.
We do have a few honorable mentions. One of them being Aces 10 for the early routing of the game and sharing a large number of tips right from the outset. That was really helpful for getting like other people like involved at the beginning and helped grow the boost during the rest of the month. We also want to give an honorable mention to Junkyard Dave for sort of jokingly discussing a race and then doing all of the really hard work to make it happen, which was very, very helpful and really cool. However, this month's MVP could be no other than the speedrunner who broke down Oregon Trail to its constituent parts at an utmost inane level for the benefit of learning everything we could about the game. During this boost, Latalis Rose spent well over 40 hours, and I think I'm being really conservative with that. If I went back, I think it's a lot more than that, actually, analyzing each part of the game and meticulously documenting her work for the benefit of everyone. This is exactly the kind of community building that Board Boosters is about, and for that reason, the admin team awards her MVP for this boost. Thank you, Latalis.
GG's.
It's well deserved.
A little mini trophy is in the mail. A little miniature trophy.
It better be
I
a
cannot
grocery
confirm
sack shaped
nor
trophy.
deny this. Yeah, we bought you groceries. It's a 28% chance they show up at your house or not.
It would be
You have to scavenge for them outside.
it would be cheaper to buy someone a trophy and have it made custom than it would be to buy a bag of groceries nowadays.
Fact.
Probably.
That's also
Fact.
true.
Right. So that I think that's all we had for the bulk of our discussion here. I think we're pretty close to spinning the wheel. I know there's got to be one person in chat who's like, I don't care about any of this. I don't even know who Latalis is. I just want to fucking spin.
Give me the fucking wheel.
So yes, we will get the wheel spinning here. I thank
Before we
our
do that-
guest. Oh, go ahead.
just before we jump into the wheel, I do want to say we're trying to hit 100 members in the Discord before the end of the year. We've got another boost coming in December to do that. So get inviting. We want people to be submitting games, and we know that like every speedrunner who's a part of Board Boosters is also a big fan of some game that only they have ever heard of, or like a small group of people have played. So just think, like, what game is it that you know that you love, but you just haven't shared, or that you could be sharing with more people? And get someone from that community to join and submit it.
Also, I will say that right before, like a few days before this event here, we had our first game that has been suggested to the board twice. So technically, that game has the highest chance of being selected. So you can invite friends that also want to see a game boosted and have them suggest the same game and up those chances. So get all your friends to suggest Corridor 7.
Chat.
Just kidding.
Unfortunately, you have a higher chance of finding groceries, I think.
But yes, please, if all of you in chat right now could find one person to invite to the Discord, that would be awesome. That would be great.
Yeah. If you have VIPs or mods on your own Twitch channel and they're not a part of the Board Boosters group, or they don't know about Board Boosters, what are you doing? What are you even doing?
What are you even doing? All right. Yeah. Do we want to have our guests on here for the wheel, or do we want to just say get out of here?
It's fine. Let them stay.
All right, I can stay.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All
We're
right.
cool and stuff.
Let's
It's nice and cozy here.
let's pull up the wheel here. Here, I'll share my screens so y'all can see this in real time.
Whoa, baby.
Right here. Yeah, there you go. There's the wheel. Okay, and then I'm going.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I'll pop this up. Boom.
I'm
Beautiful.
so excited right now.
Okay.
This is the wheel I kept losing halfway through the run.
So I'm gonna shuffle
Don't
the
see-
names
don't
up
Try
here.
not
Sneeze
to
on it.
sneeze on it.
Yeah, don't sneeze on it, David.
I've actually found out that the wheel will always spin to the same name if you don't shuffle the names beforehand. So
Oh, yeah.
just so everybody knows, I am shuffling the names. All right, here we go.
Interesting.
Are we ready?
Yep.
First, we select the name, and then we look and see what runs were suggested by said person. Chill Dragoon. All right, we gotta pull up the spreadsheet here. I thought Chill Dragoon might have had two. Uh-oh.
Somebody say spreadsheet.
I think my oh no, here it is. Found it. Gotta pull up the spreadsheet. It's on a different window. All right, two runs here. We got Ignition Factor and Summer Assault. Ignition Factor on the Super Nintendo, and Summer
I've
Assault
heard of that game.
on the TurboGrafx
That's on the-
16.
Ignition Factor, I think, is on Switch Online, if I remember right.
Oh, really?
So-
I think you're right,
I
actually.
think
yeah.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really interesting game. In terms of like, I've never seen a game like that before. You basically like play as like firefighters.
Yeah.
Um,
It's pretty cool.
Oh, interesting.
It's,
Featuring
from-
Nikos from video games.
it's from Natsume, right? Is that a Natsume game?
yes,
Natsume
yes, it is.
Miku?
Shoot, I can't
Natsume.
remember the name of the Summer Assault. That's right.
Good shit.
Summer Assault is like a shooter, but a really interesting one where you basically play as like a Slinky.
That one looked interesting.
Yeah, they
Fascinating.
both sound interesting.
All right, shuffle them up, and
Yeah.
spin that wheel. It's looking like it's going to be Ignition Factor.
Oh, here we go. Nikos from video games. Here we come.
Here we go.
All right, Ignition Factor's the winner. Super Nintendo.
That's fairly
That's
hype.
that's pretty lit.
Yeah,
The
that
game
when
is
I
fire.
when I was Oh god damn it!
Already begun.
When I was reviewing that game, like I was like this. I just honestly like I've never really seen anything like that before. Like it's like I say, you play as like firefighters who are like trying to save people from different like situations, like burning buildings, and also like you go through like caves and mines and things to like save people who are like trapped in them. It's very cool.
Yeah.
It looks like
It's like a top down action, right?
top down action.
Sure.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So very
Cool.
exciting.
So looking at that board really quick, Beat the Game has 10 players on it and world record's about 18 minutes, but Best Ending has no runs.
Who?
Free world
So there you
record,
go.
Lolo, if you're in chat.
Yeah.
Probably an hour and a half.
100%.
So before we get going, then I mean, this is 10 players on the board is probably the most we've had on any game we were going into, right? So
Yeah, I think so.
I wonder maybe there's folks in that community who are going to see what we're doing and say, hey, I'm going to speed run this again or come back to it or what have you. It's cool.
Yeah, we'll reach out to the mods of that
We will
board and
destroy them.
let them know board
We're
boosters
coming
is
to get
coming.
you.
Sweetie, swooty.
Just send a video clip or an audio clip. Board Boosters is coming to get you. It's like, be creepy about it.
I feel the need to just mention to chat here that when we send these messages, they're very friendly.
Yeah.
To let the people know
Yeah.
we're going to do this.
Yeah.
The
Disclaimer.
first messages, anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we bring it to a close then? Thank you to our amazing guests and to everyone who participated in the Oregon Trail Board Boost. We couldn't do it without everybody. So thank you very much.
Thank you, admins.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. No problem. Fun time, fun chat. Quick, just before we go, do you want to throw some do you want to ask chat if they have any questions that we can answer quick, or
Absolutely.
are
Yeah.
we
No, that's
good? I kind of posted something about earlier, but no one responded. So
Yeah,
this is your last chance, chat.
trying to catch comments in chat as they go by, but if we missed anything that anybody had questions on, please speak now or forever hold your peace. No, seriously, you can go in Discord and talk about it if you need to.
But Conan does make a good point that with 10 people on the board, this is going to be probably the most challenging existing world record that we are coming up against, right? A few of the previous games, when we noted a bunch of times when we started running Dream World Poggy that the original world record, which was the only run on the board, was more of like a casual playthrough that had been done relatively, fast, right? 10 runners means that somebody's put a little bit of time into this one, right? So, it's not to be taken lightly. Like 18 minutes might be a pretty good time, right? And it's not like Poggy where pretty much everyone's going to get a faster time, right? Throughout the whole boost.
Right.
We will destroy them.
But expect people running this game, throwing in their strats, ways to approach the game. Head into that Discord. It's gonna populate quick.
Cool.
Vane asks, does the Oregon Trail count as a win for board boosters if the owner of the world record kept it? And I would say yes, because Danzel kept the world record as a board booster. And joined the group, participated fully.
One of us.
Used information from board boosters who were just driving the time down. So I would absolutely call it a win. It's a win for everyone.
We're like an amoeba. We just
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
I just a question though for folks in chat. This is not to be not for chat right now, but if you've played Ignition Factor, if anyone in the group has played it at all, please speak up and let us know what you know about the game so far, right? Don't keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Share your secrets.
Or else.
Or you're banned.
Discord link
Okay,
is
why don't
expired.
we
in Nightbot.
We'll figure it out.
That was the one that Bug shared. I updated it. Oh well. Okay.
No way.
I will post one in the Discord for people to share with others. So look for it there, and I'll fix it. Thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Shall we wrap this up? A nice little bow.
A
think
nice
so.
little
I think that's
grocery
it.
sack.
Cool.
Thank you everybody for hanging out. And yeah, head on to the Discord and let's get ready for some Ignition Factor.
Yep.
Congrats,
Looking
Chill.
forward to it.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Have a good one, all. Take care, and
See you
thanks for
guys.
participating.